yeah, why don't we get started? And we'll add anybody else in who needs to once they come in. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and whenever you're ready, Tom, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Formicola, and I'm the Executive Director of Arlington Center for the Arts. On behalf of all the board and staff members who are here in full force tonight, I welcome you. Before we get started, I have just a few pieces of housekeeping to share. For those who may be new to Zoom, you'll notice there are a series of icons you can click on to enhance your experience. The video and audio icons on the bottom left make it possible for everyone to see and hear you, and we'd love to see your face, so please feel free to turn on your video. You don't need to worry about being heard just yet. We're keeping everyone on mute until the Q&A at the end. You can choose what you see by clicking on the icon with all the little squares in the top right corner. You'll notice that if you click on the chat room icon at the bottom, it'll open a new window on the right. So please don't hesitate to use that feature at any time if you'd like to share a comment or ask a question. Finally, for those who don't want to miss a word, please take a note of the closed caption icon at the bottom, which provides options for you to see subtitles and get a full transcript. If you have any issues with these features or anything else, please use the chat feature to let us know. And while you may be finding yourselves really impressed by my technical know-how in this moment, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that our communications director, Annalise Ruggles, and our program manager, Kat Bodwin, are behind the scenes making tonight's presentation possible. So let's begin. I realize these last months have been challenging for all of us, and so I'm grateful to you for being here tonight to learn about how ACA is navigating these extraordinary times. When everyone began isolating in March, ACA quickly pivoted from the in-person programming we're so well known for to a robust series of online offerings. We've offered creative workshops for kids, a weekly clubhouse for teens, classes for adults, and a virtual camp program. Of course, we all miss spending time in person. And though it hasn't been easy, and there's certainly been a big learning curve for everyone involved, we've found a way to continue making art together in community. In the midst of this transition, ACA has also managed to pull off a community celebration, Bubble Fest, which honored the spirit of Porch Fest by inviting townsfolk to own their six-foot bubbles and express their creativity. We heard from local music makers, beautiful words were shared by our poet laureate, an Irish step dancer showed off her fancy footwork, and thanks came from the four corners of Arlington from folks grateful for this opportunity to connect with their neighbors. Last week, we took a new step on the journey with the kickoff of an in-person camp program that will serve about 250 young people during these last 5 weeks of summer. We've always understood how important our arts camps are to the families we serve, but that awareness was heightened this year. I'm so grateful to the camp families who energized us by expressing their need and desire for ACA to make camp happen. And I appreciate their understanding and flexibility as we've worked really hard to create a meaningful program and a safe program. It's a real tribute to the ACA's tremendous staff and the amazing artists, teachers, and counselors who are all truly an inspiration. In these uncertain times, ACA continues to respond to the needs of our constituents while serving its mission of transforming lives and building community through the arts. We've kept our ears to the ground and we've tried hard to stay informed about people's concerns as well as what they need and want from us. In fact, we count on your input to inform our work and to keep it relevant. Our fall classes offer more variety than ever, with in-person as well as online opportunities to explore the arts. All the old favorites are still in the mix, and after a long wait, our new ceramic studio is finally open for business. What else is on the horizon this fall? Well, we'll be hosting a new series exploring issues of identity, equity, and activism through the arts. We've ramped up offerings for kids and teens in anticipation of the gaps likely to be left this fall by school and family schedules that are less predictable than ever. To celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, ACA is installing a timely new exhibit, Created Equal, addressing fundamental rights and freedoms in partnership with the League of Women Voters. And Arlington Open Studios returns in November as a virtual event just in time to kick off your holiday shopping while supporting local artists. So, while ACA absolutely positively continues to thrive programmatically, the financial challenges presented by these uncertain times is daunting. Public health protocols limit the number of programs we can offer, as well as the number of people we can serve. Concerns about safety undercut participation. In previous years, earned income typically represented upwards of 90% of our annual revenue. With fewer income generating opportunities, the ACA will frankly see a big deficit in this current year. Fundraising will be vital as the ACA continues its journey through these challenging times. That's why we need the support of you all, our most loyal and our most generous stakeholders, the folks who really value the work we do and who understand the positive impact this organization has on Arlington and its residents who have invested in the ACA to ensure that the arts have a past, a present, and a future in our community. We're not giving up. We're not retreating. Our response to isolation is to find innovative new ways to bring people together to make connections in a time of social distancing. If there's one thing we know for sure, it's that the spirit of community is never virtual. Tonight, we've invited some special guests to share their ACA stories. So I'd like to introduce a longtime camper, Zach Oser, and his mom, Ashley Oser, to talk a bit about their experience as an ACA camp family.
Hi. Okay. As a parent to Zach, ACA Camp has been such an important anchor for us. It's one of the first places Zach felt comfortable away from us. When we signed him up, as soon as kindergarten was over, he had been really, really certain that he didn't want to go to camp, any camp. He was not the typical kid that just wanted to stop, get out of school and go play with his friends at camp. And, from day one, to our relief and delight, he absolutely loved it. He would come home talking about different projects that he was working on in 2D or 3D art and the songs he was learning in music. But I would say mostly the counselors and the staff, they've just been amazing for us and for him. I saw his confidence grow as he participated in these performances every Friday and how comfortable he was beginning to appear, and I just could see how the kids were really seen and treated as individuals. How fun and creativity and art and community surrounded by interesting and interested adults impacted him. Having a diverse range of people to learn from and his curiosity is always valued. It really exposed him to a bunch of opportunities that I don't know that he would have had in any other type of camp setting. And I think that's, what we feel most grateful for. We are Caterpillar, makeshift caterpillar collectors that would do monarch butterfly every summer. We did this, and last year one of the counselors took
It's
Josie. Okay. Yes, she took the caterpillar from us because we were going on vacation, and
we gave her like a plant with some caterpillar eggs on it in an old cashew container with a little water.
And she raised it.
And she sent us a video. She brought them to college with her.
So she, about 2 weeks later from when we were back from vacation and Zach was done with camp, we received this, really amazing, lovely email from her detailing about how cool it was that she got this, was able to do this, and she drove it to college with her and then sent a video of her letting it go. And I think that just kind of speaks to the kind of people that are around. That's just one example, but I feel like there's many of those kinds of examples. And, I think that's been that really has had the biggest impact for us. Right here.
Thank you, Ashley and Zach. And Zach, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
You want to say something else?
Do you? Go for it.
Well, some 10 things I like about ECA. I look forward to going back every year, and I love giving the counselors stickers and origami, and the teachers are very involved in the art, and they'll do it too, with us, and I think that's really cool. And the counselors are very involved in the class, and they'll one of the origami things last week, I couldn't figure out how to make this piranha thing. So the teacher helped and did it with me.
Really supportive and helpful.
And it's super fun.
And you, yes, and you feel like you can be you, is what you've said. You don't have to put on an act.
Yeah. I've been starting my days with camp for the last 2 weeks, and wow, is it energizing. I have to tell you, I feel so good when I leave there in the morning. I'm ready to start the day. I'm trying to think of that song, that it's time to start the day song. It's time to get our morning going. I can't think of it. I'll sing it for you sometime, though. Thank you, Ashley and Zach. Next up. You'd never guess it to look at him, but Chris LeGare has been part of the ACA family for more than 30 years. This is his story.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I love seeing everybody, here. I wish it was in person, but this is pretty good too. And yeah, as Tom said, my ACA journey dates back to around 1990, which was one of the first years that we had that there was an Arlington Center for the Arts camp. And back then it was like a 3-week program, and now we've taken it up to 10 weeks, and it was one of the only places, as I, just like Zach, felt comfortable. And I felt so comfortable that I'd come back year after year. I couldn't get enough of the interesting adults, the interesting projects, just the sort of low pressure, high nurturing sense of community that we had. And I just couldn't get enough. And there came a time where I got to be too old to go to the camp. So I started working there as a camp counselor. And then that thus kind of started my career as an arts educator. And I can't say I really knew what I wanted to do in life, but the Art Center kind of gave me direction. It opened my eyes to different artists, it opened my eyes to a whole world. And I slowly began to develop as an artist and a teacher. And when it was time for college, I headed off to Massachusetts College of Art and Design, which I learned about from the people at ACA. A lot of the instructors were mass art people. And I still stuck around. I was able to work there in the summers. And then, as I started to learn art in the world, I began to kind of give it back, and sort of, as ACA planted some seeds with me to kind of look at art and a career as a teacher, I started to give back. So I started to learn very interesting things in college, and then I began to teach it. And I've had Zach in my classes, and I finished up school, and then I became a teacher and an artist, and I stuck around ACA. And so it's really kind of cultivated me from student to teacher, and it's been an amazing journey. And I still teach. I teach classes for people of all ages. I take classes there, and I just find it's a nurturing, comfortable place to be. And I've made some of the best friends, both professionally and just friends in life at ACA. And I think our big goal is to keep it going and keep it going full circle and just remain a really strong, tight community.
I don't think Chris mentioned that he also became a board member of the ACA
Oh.
this year. So from camper to board member, keep your eye on the prize, Zach. It could be you someday.
Could be.
Thank you, Chris. I'm privileged to invite Kecia and Muhammad Ali to share their thoughts with us now. They've been amazing champions of the ACA, and the Shira Ali Gallery is named in honor of their daughter. Thank you for being with us tonight, Muhammad and Kecia.
Thanks. So we're going to take this in alphabetical order. Since we share a last name, we'll go by first name. That's just accidental that it worked out that way, I suppose. We've been an ACA family for a long time, too. Our kids all attended the camp. They worked as CITs. Shira became a counselor. And one of the things that was most wonderful for us was the way that ACA camp was not only about making physical pieces of art that our children brought home, although we ended up with a lot of art that way in the house, but the integration of painting and sculpture and other kinds of creative decorative arts with performing arts. There were always lots of ideas, always lots of willingness to play, and always lots of willingness to try and fail, and be silly. The willingness to experiment, the willingness to imagine, willingness to try something and say, that didn't turn out like I thought it did, but it was still pretty interesting. In our current moment, we need a lot more imagination. We need a lot more willingness to try things. We need a lot more willingness to say, what we're doing isn't working, but it doesn't mean we have to give up. And we haven't gotten to the fundraising portion of this evening yet, but we're going to get there. And I just want to say that I understand what a tremendous amount of need there is in our country at the moment, right? There is also a real need for programs and organizations that nurture our imaginations and nurture our ability to dream up and enact possibilities. And the ACA is definitely one of those. Your turn.
Great, thank you, Kecia, and thank you, Tom, for inviting us to be part of this. First, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank Arlington for having an art center. There are many communities that are losing their art center. You know, having grown up in a country, in a village, in a community where there was a lot of community, living here in America is different. There isn't a lot of community. And it's things like the ACA that create that fabric. When our three children all went to ACA and they loved it. And I didn't understand why until many years later, when Kecia and I started spending time with the team at ACA and feeling their compassion and their ability to create that community and to expand that community. So I think Kecia and I are big believers in institutions such as ACA and ACA in particular. And, we encourage everybody to write as big a check as you can. So Tom, thank you. Thank you for all the good work you do and everyone at ACA.
Thank you, Mohamad. Thank you, Kecia. Well, you may all know Margaret Moody as a puppeteer extraordinaire, but she's also the co-chair of the ACA Board of Directors. Margaret?
Hi. Hey, everybody. I'd like to say that my way into the ACA community started with Pam Stanley and what I consider the ACA room of requirement. So Pam, you probably all know, is ACA's facilities manager. And when we were at the Gibbs, she managed a great big theater. So about 10 years ago, I started renting it to do on winter Saturdays, to do a family puppet series. And with Pam's help, I could fit 75 people in there and it would feel spacious, or I could have 15 and it just felt tiny and cozy and right. The theater just seemed to grow or shrink as I required, just like in Harry Potter. Plus, Pam had this whole little rabbit warren of hidden closets, and she would just pop in and she'd pull out a microphone stand or a light pole, tables, chairs, whatever I needed. So besides puppeteers using that space, there were musicians, there were dancers, lots of children's theater people, and lots of shows. And we all got so much support from ACA. It was just wonderful. Around that same time, our son Robert became an ACA counselor, and he loved it. It's just like Zach and Ashley, Kecia, Mohamad, and Chris said, ACA Camp is a very gentle and creative place to be. So anyway, I joined the board about 4 years ago when ACA was leaving the Gibbs. I just couldn't imagine Arlington without Arlington Center for the Arts. And I'm so happy we have the space at 20 Academy Street. I know you all feel the same way. So I think it's a good time to talk about how you can support ACA. We hope you'll consider making a donation. As Tom explained, we're going to have a gap this year, probably for the full coming year, between revenue and expenses, and your donation can help shrink that gap. I'd also like to tell you that the board and Tom are doing a lot of careful strategic thinking, and I'm confident that giving to ACA is giving to a really strong organization. So thanks for thinking about that. I'd also like to tell you that we're going to start, what's it called, an online fundraising salons online, and I'm so grateful for this slide to help me get through the nitty-gritty. So I'll use myself as an example. I know a really dynamic theater performer who gives programs for families. I would, as host, cover her artist fee, and I would make a lead gift to the invited friends to encourage them to also support ACA. I would probably want a co-host because I don't have a big enough pool of families with children 5 to 10 at my fingertips. So then my co-host and I would invite the friends, we'd select a time. Tom and Annalise will handle the ACA messaging because that's something they do so well. We might consider having food, that's kind of up to us. So it's a pretty wonderful recipe of artist, audience, and ACA for an online house party, basically. So I hope you'll think about that. I'd also like to say that we have a terrific fall catalog and some exciting fall programs, and I hope you'll take a look. If you have time for an art adventure, we have some great ones. Thanks. So you've heard a lot of ACA news, and you probably have some questions. While we're all together, we'd like to take a few minutes to answer them. So if you have a question, please, what do you need to do in the chat program? Yeah, type I have a question in, and staff will unmute you, and you can just ask. You can also type it into the chat and I'll read it out loud for you. One more thing, if we can't finish the questions before 7:30, we'll round up the extra ones and respond to them and then send out an email to everybody. Thanks. So who's got a question? Oh, great, somebody wants to host a salon. Cool. That's Chris LeGare, thank you. Do we have an unanswered question? Oops, did I miss one? Let's see. So I'm seeing lots of thank yous, but what else? What else would you like to, or what comment would you like to make about ACA if you don't have a question?
You can all share your ACA stories as well.
Yeah, from Karen Brown. Can you talk about what's going on with the clay studio? That is a great topic that I'd like to pass to somebody else. Tom.
So, you know, file this under It's a Funny World, right? So we've been struggling to get that ceramic studio open because there's just been like lots of little kerfuffles along the way. And at the end of February, we finally got the go-ahead. Just at the moment that everything came to a complete halt. And so in July, I am happy to report that we started to conduct our first clay classes. We have a clay artist who's managing that studio, and he has a small studio of his own, so he's doing some work here as well. His name is Sean, and he's a great guy. And so we've hosted a workshop for folks to just come and do their own work independently, and Sean is there to sort of provide assistance as people want it or need it. And we've done a teen workshop. We're about to offer because of the great demand, we're about to offer actually a follow-up workshop. And then we'll be introducing sort of a full lineup of ceramics classes in beginning in September and October. You know, it's hard to do a ceramics class virtually. So those are among the classes we'll be offering here in person. There's just 6 wheels. We have placed them all at a social distance so that people are safe. Everything is cleaned very regularly. There seems to be a lot of interest in ceramics. We're hoping they attract a crowd. Think about it.
From Mohamad, is there space at the ACA location to do activities outside? And if there is, what activities are you doing outside?
So we are mostly in like all about camp mode right now. Because remember, we're a small staff. There's 4 of us full-time and 2 of us part-time. And camp this year has been a bigger job than ever before because of all the public safety issues. So we are focused primarily on the camp program and making sure that we get that right. And they are spending a fair bit of, we're trying to get those kids outside as much as possible during the day and not just enjoying classroom time. And we have been talking about exploring some outdoor class opportunities, but we haven't offered any yet. But be on the lookout for that. The parks in Arlington have just sort of begun to make themselves available to organizations like ours who want to do some programming there. So, you know, luckily New England summers continue at least through the early part of October. So stay tuned.
I would like to echo Tom. My name's Kat Bodwin. I'm the Education and Programs Manager. We've actually had a couple of proposals come in from our teaching artists, some of them that are plein air classes, so you'll be going outside on different locations and painting. We also have some that are recycled materials based, so really thinking consciously about the environment and using the arts as a vehicle while being able to get outside.
Great, thank you. Question from Suzanne Rothschild. Do you anticipate that the building construction will disrupt the ACA?
So far, so good. Not really. It might impact what door you enter from because they're opening and closing certain entrances over the course of the year. But the construction is all taking place on the first and second floor. And I don't anticipate that it's going to impact our programming at all.
Great. I think we can take 1 or 2 more questions. We're getting close to 7:30. Anybody? No?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Gordon.
I want to thank ACA for being a fabulous source for artists who have shown at the Old Schwa Mill, including Gloria Jewel Leitner, the photographer, Gwen Chasen, John Coles, a lot of creative people have shown at the mill over the 15 years that we've had the second floor galleries. And I also want to say we're looking forward to Margaret Moody's puppet show on, I believe it's September 13th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, so we'll send out announcements about that.
I saw we have a question from Stuart Akeda. Are you anticipating a virtual or an in-person gala? Right now we are talking about virtual or actually using our fundraising salons to kind of replace the gala. Unless things change a lot, we won't be able to have a Blue Jean Ball this year. And if anyone has great virtual fundraising ideas, we want to hear them. Send them to Annalise and she'll get them to all the right folks. Thank you. Let's see. From Bonnie Payne, are there ways the ACA is supporting artists who are not teaching? And from Kecia, online art auction. I think these two are related, am I right? Yeah?
Actually, Annalise, can I ask you to take that question?
Sure. So over the course of the spring and now into the summer, we've tried to find a lot of options and opportunities for artists to still feel connected and also not, especially if education is not sort of a part of their practice. We have a sort of online artist directory that's free for artists to access and to be displayed through. So it's all online, and it's essentially a listing of all the different local artists and direct links to their e-commerce sites, their websites, their social media pages, as a way to keep them connected, especially since we're going to be moving towards a virtual open studios model this year. We're trying to find ways to make it still feel the same sort of connected, intimate, and environment and experience that people have during open studios. So we're trying to find ways to continue. We're actually going to be a new sort of AOS is going to be our guinea pig this fall, but we're going to start experimenting with having a retail space on our website so artists can actually list their art for sale on our website. So we're excited to be launching that this fall in partnership with Open Studios and just trying, it's such a difficult time for visual artists and performing artists as well to stay connected and to recoup a lot of their financial losses that they've had over this pandemic. So we continue to be open to other opportunities as well. So if there's artists who are looking for opportunities for collaboration, we have the resources and desire to support artists. So hopefully that answers that question for you guys.
Great. We've had an idea come in from Kecia suggesting an online art auction as a fundraiser, and a lot of interest in that from quite a few people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so, yeah.
Shall I, Margaret? Thank you, Margaret. We promised to keep this short and sweet, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. If you have a question in these final moments, please just share it in the chat right now, and we'll follow up in the next days. I really am grateful to all of you for simply coming to the table tonight. It really does mean a lot that you carved out this time for us. It's really empowering, honestly, to know how much you care. Thank you for showing us how much you care by just being here. Thanks also to tonight's most valuable players, Zach Oser and his mom, Ashley Oser, Chris LeGare, Kecia and Muhammad Ali, and Margaret Moody, our own Margaret Moody. It's an honor to hear you speak on behalf of the ACA, and I'm humbled by all of by the generous spirit that each one of you have. I hope this is just the beginning of a conversation. I'm always available. Send me an email, pick up the phone. I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to share. Call me. Once again, thank you, and good night, everybody.